Caitlin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. I am just a little behind the scenes. I am has it's been a very like frazzling morning putting all this together. My laptop fried, and I am piecemealing this all together. But right now we have audio, we have video, we have a
Yeah.
conversation, and I'm excited. But yeah, I'm like trying to catch my breath, but also very excited to chat with you. So like my breath is even speeding up there. But yeah, could you give us a little background about you, where you're based, and what all you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a wedding photographer and educator based in Virginia, and together with my husband Devin, who's I guess watching live right now. Hi. Um, we own two photography brands, and Devin also does videography. So I guess you could say that we're pretty multi-passionate. So
Nice.
yeah.
That's cool. What okay, so you own two different photography brands. Are they like different niches, or how's that work?
No, so they're both wedding niched.
Okay.
Our Caitlin Wilcox photography brand is more of like our higher end luxury brand. It's the brand that like Devin and I we show our faces in more. It's very personal. And then my first brand is actually turning into an associate like affiliate brand.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah,
Okay.
we
That's
we
cool.
wanted a way to grow without losing like the small town connections and weddings that we love serving over there. So
Yes. Yeah. No, I love that. I do feel like sometimes whenever you grow and like have 19 associates and all of this, it's just like you kind of lose that kind of like mom and pop feel of, oh yeah, we'll meet up at the coffee shop or whatever.
yes.
And it's more of like working with like a business or something. Well, I guess
Hmm.
it's still a business, but it feels less personal. So I like that y'all are still keeping that very very small town, very very personal with that brand. But that's cool. That's a good idea
Yeah.
of splitting that up. That's really cool. So okay,
It's
I
not
know
very
we're
common.
yeah, no, which is why I was like, okay, I want to figure out about this. Um, but I know like we're talking about tips and tools that introverted business owners can use, which I'm very excited about. I am an introvert. I know I talk a lot on the podcast and
Yeah.
everything. And whenever people meet me in person, I'm usually talking a lot because I'm like on, uh, because I'm like, okay, yeah, I can't just like sit here in the corner while I'm meeting new people.
Right.
But I remember. Did you ever take the Myers Briggs test of like the
Oh, like,
ENFP or
yes.
something like
I
I don't
definitely
know.
have. I don't remember what I am though.
Yeah, I don't remember what I am either. It was like way before Enneagram became a thing.
Hmm.
And I remember all my friends, like, I think it was like high school age, maybe in college, everyone was taking that test and everyone kept coming out. Like there's either E for extrovert or I for introvert. And everyone was like ENFP, EJT, what I don't remember all the things, but they were all extrovert. And then I took it and I was I in something and I was an
Yeah.
introvert. And it just like, I never had felt like so small because everyone was just like, yeah, we're all extroverts and like we can have fun. And then I got introvert and I was like, I guess I will go in the corner and read or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like there is that stigma of if you're an introvert, you're quiet, you're very reserved, and you
Hmm.
don't do a lot of things.
Right.
Uh,
I
so
think that's
I'm
such a big misconception too. I have that in my notes
yes.
for later
Okay,
as
nice,
well.
nice. Yeah, I'm excited to get into that because I do feel like that um, is definitely not true.
Hmm.
Because one, I am not a very good reader, uh, but also like um, I love just meeting people. Oh, Devin
Hmm.
says he's pretty sure that yours is a INTJ,
Oh, okay. Thanks, Devin.
which, yeah, thank you. I'm also not really sure what the T or the J stand
I
for.
have
I
no
was like,
idea.
I know one of them is like feeling or something. But again, I
Yeah.
have no idea. I know my Enneagram now, but but yeah. So okay, could you give us a little bit about like for anyone who maybe doesn't know anything about like extrovert, introvert, anything like that, what really is introversion? What is that?
Yeah. So, like I said, I think that there are so many misconceptions, maybe like some stereotypical images that pop into even my own head whenever we think about introverts versus extroverts.
Hmm.
And most people probably hear the word introvert and automatically think shy, doesn't like to be around people, antisocial, even. And it has such a negative connotation. In truth, I think that introverts aren't all cookie cutters, right? Like we're not all skipping a night out with friends to read a book by ourselves, right?
Right.
And I like to focus on where do you draw your energy. So if you think about yourself with like a social battery, what is charging it? So introverts, we still have friends. We still like to, have fun and everything, but our social batteries are going to be drained a little bit faster by doing so than our extroverted counterparts. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that kind of like reshaping it into energy
Mm-hmm.
instead of the like how do you express yourself around people,
Yeah,
because that's how it was taught to me of like extroverts are the life of the party, introverts want to go upstairs and be by themselves.
exactly.
And yeah, no, having that like the whole battery and energy just visual is very helpful because yeah, I feel like that sometimes. And I don't know exactly where I land because sometimes I love being around people and I just like I feed on that energy and I am pumped, especially like going to conferences and stuff. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
I just get me around all the people. I just want to be around everyone the whole
Yes.
time. But yeah, usually, I don't know, maybe now that I'm actually like working through this and talking about it, usually like a day or two after the conference, I'm just like, I just need to be alone in my bed.
Yeah.
But I always chalk that up to just travel fatigue. But maybe it is that energy and needing to recoup all of that.
It could be both.
It could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So like with that, I kind of want to get into like some of these tips and everything, for introverts, especially, but what are some tips and tools that we can use as introverted business owners?
Yeah, absolutely. So I broke it down into like three like little tips, and my first one is to know your limits and to recognize your social battery level. You are not doing yourself or your clients any favors by forcing yourself to keep going when your social battery is low. So if we think about ourselves with a battery like we did with like our introvert like definition, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm a wedding photographer. Do you do weddings as well, John?
I do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me on a wedding day, like I can start at like 90%. And throughout the day, I'm just getting like a little bit lower, a little bit lower. Like family formals are like super draining for me because there's so many
Yes.
people,
Yeah.
receptions, like dance floors. I love them. They're so much fun. But like the people, like I am fighting like with Devin to like see like who gets cake first. Devin's an extrovert. So he's like, go eat your cake for 5 minutes, be alone in the corner. And then afterwards, I used to get so upset with myself because I'm so lucky. Devin drives everywhere and I can work in the car. And I would
That's
just feel
nice.
so drained after
Yeah.
a wedding day. I would not cull through all of the images like the standard is, right? Like cull through all the images, back up everything on the way home before you go to
Hmm.
bed. I just couldn't do it. I was too drained. Um, so whenever we are recognizing our battery levels and allowing ourselves to recharge accordingly, we are going to be able to show up better for our clients and be more productive overall. If I am pushing myself to call that wedding right after a really draining wedding day, then it's going to take me at least probably twice as long to do the task because I just don't have the energy for it. Which
Oh
leads
yeah.
me into, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just agreeing with you. Just like, yeah, I feel that. Whereas sometimes, because also being a wedding photographer, like at the beginning of the day, I'm on. I'm just
Yeah.
like loving it. My creativity is just like through the roof, and I'm wanting to try all these different things and do all this fun
Mm-hmm.
stuff. By the time we get through the family formals, and then it's like time to photograph the couple, usually, after doing all the family formals, I'm just like so drained from that because nobody is listening, and I'm trying to like yell out people's names. I actually bought a little bullhorn microphone thing. I was like, because I'm tired of just like trying to yell, because my voice, no matter how loud it gets, it's like in a certain pitch that people just don't hear.
Oh,
uh
I know.
and it
I'm
has been
stealing
like,
that.
yeah.
That's going in my
Oh,
Amazon cart.
yes, do it. Yeah, I got like a tiny little handheld one for like $20, and it
Worth it.
is great. Yeah, I have not used it at a wedding yet because I like literally just got it, but played with it with my kids, and they got very loud with it.
I
So
love it.
yeah, I was like, I'm gonna do this because that whole like, all right, where's Uncle Joe, and trying to wrangle everyone just takes so much energy. And then I
Mm-hmm.
feel like once I get to the time with my couple, which is very important for these
Yeah.
photos, I'm just like down at 20%, where I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just like hold each other, smile, look at the camera. I'm so tired. I'm so sorry. But no, I totally identify with you there. Just kind of like that energy level, that battery draining toward the end of the
Mm-hmm.
weddings.
Yeah, and I'm lucky too because I like to call him my resident extrovert. So he usually handles like the majority of my family formals, but it's still like you have, Uncle Bob. He's like, "Hey, am I
Hmm.
done with my pictures yet?" And everything. It's too much.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah, it's too much. It's like just take a seat. You can
yeah.
sit here. It's okay.
Mhm.
Once
We'll
everyone is
call you
done,
when we need you.
you are done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Love it.
that is helpful. And I usually have like my second shooter or assistant or someone like getting people together while I'm taking a photo, just getting the
Yeah.
next group. And that has been so helpful moving into that sort of thing. Or sometimes I'll have a coordinator that's just like, you need me to wrangle people, because they're usually just like extreme extroverts running around
Mhm.
doing all the things. I'm like, yes, that would be amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, which I think that goes back to point one is to like recognize your battery levels and allow yourself to recharge because
Hmm.
you're recognizing where you fall short and you're allowing a better experience for your clients by having somebody step in to do that for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And that's like, by recognizing that you're not trying to like force yourself into something that you're not,
Hmm.
because that's what really drains your battery, is whenever you're like, okay, I've got to be on, I've got to
Yeah.
be like smiley and bubbly and all the things.
Hmm.
And then that drains your battery even quicker.
Exactly.
Then it's like, I don't know, like I've got this studio light on me right now, which is battery operated right now, so like I have it set at like 30%.
Hmm.
And because I knew, I changed my settings on the camera, because if I have it at 90%, that battery is going to drain well within the hour that we're talking, and then
Yeah.
it's going to be some moody lighting in here after that. So it's like that battery, you gotta figure out, like you said, identify how your battery is draining, and then don't like force yourself to do the things that drain your battery quicker.
Right.
So
Right.
I love that. Okay, so you said
Okay.
that kind of like segued into your next point. What is
Yeah.
the next one?
So my next point is to plan your weeks accordingly or to try to. And this isn't always best case scenario because life, like
Mm,
just life. But like in an ideal world, um if you know that you need time to recharge after big social interactions, then if we're planning our weeks accordingly, so for me, I know that I can go like really, really hard with like social interaction, and then I need like a full day to like
yeah.
recharge from it. So I have choir practice on Tuesday nights, and I have I'm in a mastermind. So I have those
Nice.
calls on Wednesdays, like in the middle of the day. So on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and of course I have weddings on the weekends.
Hmm.
But on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, those are things that I cannot move. They are social activities that are there. So I do all of my social activities on those 2 days. So I'm doing like these podcast interviews. I'm filming for my own podcast, my own YouTube. I'm trying to do like lightly batching, I like to call it, my like Instagram stories for the week
Mm,
if I know that I'm going to be talking about like certain things. Um, and then for the rest of the week, that's going to be like my very chill, like back end business. I'm editing, I'm doing some like website updates, just like very like low social interaction. Other introverts can do like, they're kind of like sprinters. They can do like an hour or two of social interaction and then they need like the rest of the day to decompress.
yeah.
And that could look very similar as my like marathons for 2 days. And you would just do like calls in the morning and then like editing in the afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think, oh, that's so smart to really plan out your days, to where you're not just doing whatever days, because then you find yourself where you'll have a week where it's just like, you've got interviews or like client discovery calls and stuff every single
Mm-hmm.
day, or you're during the busy time like in the fall or something where it's just like, okay, photo shoots during the week every single night, and
Mm-hmm.
then you find yourself at the end of the week where you're just drained because you haven't had that time to sit, recharge your batteries, and then you're going into a wedding and you're like, I am not feeling up to this.
Right.
Because I've definitely been there. I've definitely had
Mm-hmm.
some weddings where I'm like, I'm showing up at like 40%, and I feel so sorry for this couple. I'm like, I'm gonna push to be, as much as I can give. Um, but yeah, planning that out is such a great way. I mean, I love the idea of planning. I don't always plan,
Yeah.
but I love that whenever I do. Like my wife and I just did a meal plan for the whole week on Sunday, and we like lined out what we're going to be having for meals every day of the week, and that is like that peace of mind of structure is really great, to where we're not coming around to 5 o'clock every evening just being like, so what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Let's go check the fridge. But we have an idea and we can plan. And that's the same like with what you're talking about, where you can plan to, okay, I have a 2 day marathon this week where I'm going to be interacting with all the people, and this is going to be a lot. So I need to plan some rest. I need to plan a day to just go and be by myself and recoup.
Right.
Yeah, that's
I
great.
think the conversation around like scheduling your week always centers around like take off to spend time with your family, make sure you're not like constantly working, but I think that like your mental health for your introvertedness, I don't think that's a word, introvertedness, but I'm going to use it anyway.
Mm.
It's important too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
becoming
just
a word now.
trademarked it. Right?
Yes.
Perfect. So that kind of goes into my third point, is to have a plan to keep showing up even whenever you're not having I like to call it like a people day, like a social day. And I think this is probably the most
Mm.
important step. Like if you take nothing else from this episode, let it be this. um, if you're recognizing your social battery, you're allowing yourself to recharge, and you're planning your week, that's all great, but it'll only get you so far in your business unless you have a plan to keep showing up even during your non social times. This is where people get stuck because they're fine showing
Mm.
up when they're social, but they fall off when they're not. And in the world of social media today, whether we like it or not, like showing up like 2 days a week doesn't cut it, right? That's a hard truth,
Yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
you're going to be stuck in the same spot as probably when you started this episode if you're not planning to keep showing up. So this kind of has like many points in it too, I guess. I'm like, I'm the queen of like, here are my points, but then also I get tangents, right? Very fitting for the podcast.
all the other like,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, very fitting. And like all the like the bullet
The sub
points,
bullet
and then you have
points.
like the
Yeah.
indented,
Yeah.
the sub bullet points, and then
Mhm.
the numbers under that. Yeah. Oh yeah. And yeah, it's that it's great. That's so good. So okay,
Yeah. So I kind of
what's this
mentioned this
next
in
one?
the last point. Lightly batching, right? So if I know that like
Mm.
this
Hmm.
week I am launching like this YouTube video, or I have like fall minis coming up, then I'm going to be in my stories talking about those things. So on one of my social days or one of my social mornings, if I'm a sprinter, I am recording those stories, and believe it or not, I'm changing like my clothes to make it look like it's a different day. But you know, you have to.
You have to. It's like whenever you batch record reels, it's like I can't wear the same thing and then post like the next four
Yeah,
reels I'm all
you
wearing the
can't.
same thing. Yeah, it's gonna look a little fishy.
Suspicious.
It's
That's
weird.
suspicious.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
must really like that top. That's
I mean, I have
interesting.
my favorites, but so yeah, I am scheduling out. I know that I want to talk about this, and this week. So I'm recording my like talk to my phone, you know, my torture videos. I like to call them. I hate talking to my phone
Hmm.
for stories. It's the worst.
It does feel really weird. Like right now also feels weird because
Yeah.
the setup that I have, the camera's up here, but you are right here. So I'm like I keep like catching myself like looking at you in the eye, but it's all very different. I am eventually going to set up this new office to where I can actually set up the camera to where I can
Hmm.
also see you. But yeah, it's like I'm talking to a camera right
Yep.
now, which it feels the same like whenever you're just
Yeah.
chatting to your
It's like
phone
there's nobody here.
and trying to pretend that it's an actual person and yeah, and all you're seeing is just
True.
your
Yeah.
reflection back at yourself. Yeah, it is
Yeah,
definitely
definitely weird.
weird.
And I'm like the self-conscious type too. So I'm like, oh man, that hair's out of place. I gotta redo the whole thing. So
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, same. Oh yeah, yeah. Like this collar is bent under, and I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it. I've got it's gonna bug me, and
I
probably
never
no one
noticed it
else
and I'm
noticed
detail
until I said
oriented. So
something right now. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Hey, yay! There we
There
go.
we go. So we are lightly batching, and then we are
Yep.
also scheduling posts, right? I feel like every business owner does this to some
Mm-hmm.
capacity, but whenever we're scheduling our posts, we want to
Yeah.
make sure that we're still infusing our personality into them. So whenever we're not showing up with like, hey, like here's my Friday introductions, or is that still a thing? Friday introductions. I like to do Meet Me Mondays, but
I've
yeah,
I like that too. I will sometimes use the hashtag Friday introduction anytime that I
yeah,
post a photo of myself, even if it's on a Tuesday. I'm like, Friday
that's okay.
introductions. It's good. It's I think it's still a thing. That's where most people
Yeah,
are gonna find the hashtag if
fair
people still
enough.
search hashtags.
Yeah.
Um,
But throughout the
yeah.
week, I am scheduling posts that involve me personally, even if I'm talking about like aspects of like my actual business. So if I'm talking about weddings, then I'm talking about how I like to show up on wedding days, or here's my favorite part, or here's how
Hmm.
I help this couple. Just basic business stuff that also allows you to show up without physically showing up. So,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. No, I like the idea of batching. And whenever I started batching like my reels or even batching just the I was gonna say static posts, the just the
yeah.
photos or the carousels or whatever on Instagram. Whenever I started batching those and either saving them as drafts or using something like Tailwind or whatever, and being able to schedule those ahead of time and just do that all at the same time instead of every day or every 2 or 3 days, however often you post, having to get in there and be like, okay, what's
Yeah.
another real idea? Let me go through my notes app and see what I had saved and what I need to do. But being able to just
Mm.
lightly batch, like you said, 2 or 3 is great. You don't have to go through and do. I've heard of people
Yeah.
doing like 30 in a day, and I'm like, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah. It
Because it
is.
is. It is a lot. And that sounds very draining. And I don't even know what my last, 20 to 30 at the end of those last 10 would be. Just like me pointing, just like, yep, and here
Yeah,
and there.
I
Okay,
totally
cool.
feel that because we're in a season, we shoot about 50 to 60 weddings a year right now between our two brands. And with all the sneak peeks, I don't even
Mm-hmm.
know like what I would post in between because I like my grid to look a certain way and like cohesive. So
Right.
yeah, I could never.
Oh, yeah. Nope.
Yeah,
Nope. That's a lot.
very draining. Double header weekends all the time.
Yes. Oh. Yeah, those double header weekends. I mean, that goes back into like planning
Hmm.
for that energy of, every now and then. It's been a while since I've had a double header weekend. I have learned from them that I'm not always the best for that second wedding.
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try and plan to where I'm not doing these. I think currently I don't have any booked to do double headers, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's something that you have to plan for and like be able to make sure you're not doing anything that
Hmm.
day after those two, and be able to recover and also give yourself some time to cull and back up and edit and all of that. But yeah, it's 50 to 60 weddings is a ton. I think my busiest year was like
Hmm.
42 or something, and that was a lot, and it was too much for me. uh, but yeah, no, I give you
Yeah.
all the kudos for
Well,
that many
we
weddings
love
in a
it right
year.
now, but also like we don't have kids, we don't have pets. We're doing it
That's good.
together, so it's different. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you still get your
Hmm.
quality time together, even though it
Yeah.
is like work. But yeah, yeah, that is definitely different because I do have three kids and a wife, and she does not work with me at these weddings. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do
Yeah.
25, 30 a year max,
That's a good
and then
number.
I'm
Yeah.
good.
Stick to that.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so I
Yes.
like the light batching. That is a
Mhm.
great tip, great tool for
My
people to
last like
use.
mini tip in my third tip, I guess, is I like to have
Okay.
a personal content folder on my phone. So whenever I am taking like an intentional story, um, I love Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is like my thing. I go there like way too many times a
Hmm.
week to even mention because it's just an embarrassing number. If I am like in line, I will take
What
my
what's your
order.
order?
Oh, if I'm really hungry,
Yeah. Or do you switch things
it's
up?
always chicken nuggets with waffle fries and a large sweet tea. But depending on how hungry I am, it's either 8 or
Okay.
12 count. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, there's definitely
I need
those
the
days where I'm
12 to
like,
get
I
me
need
through
12. I need
life.
all of these and a
Yes,
large fry.
love it. Okay,
Yes. Okay, awesome. Yeah.
no, I love
I
it.
was just
Tangents, right?
curious.
Tangents.
Tangents, yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so
so
in
if I am
line
in
at
line
Chick-fil-A.
at Chick fil A, I don't do this all the time because I have like anxiety that like people are gonna think I'm recording them and they're gonna yell at me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I'm
No, I
feeling
feel
up to
that.
the social interaction, and the risk of being yelled at, I will take two forms of content at least. So I'm doing like one like
Hmm.
pan of the line. I'm doing like one like picture of the menu board. I am posting one, and I'm putting the other one in a folder to post on my non-social days. Because if I go to Chick Fil A, like I will go
Hmm.
5 times a week, like unapologetically. It's embarrassing, but
Yeah.
I do it.
Oh yeah.
I'm not taking. It is so
It's so
tasty.
tasty. I don't know what they put in that
And it's like
breading,
5 minutes
but
from my house.
it's
Like
the
it's
best.
dangerously close.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. We just moved. Our old house was literally you could walk across the street to a Chick-fil-A, and that was
yeah,
very dangerous. And now we're like 3 to 5 minute drive. And I don't think it's really cut down on the amount of
I
times that we
would
go,
live
honestly.
there if it was right across from my house. Every meal of the day would just be Chick Fil
Hmm.
A's, chicken
Oh yeah.
minis.
I've definitely taken meetings there
That's
with
so good.
couples where I'm just like, "Do you like
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A? We
I've
should
had
go."
brides like Venmo me like after a wedding, like instead of like a tip, they'll be like, "Here's $20, like go get yourself some Chick Fil A," and I'm like, "You know me, you are my people."
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, that's great.
Anyway,
Yeah, but I love that idea of the two separate, like one for now,
yes.
save one for later, whenever you're
Hmm.
not feeling
And I
social.
know like Chick fil A is like, I go there 5 times a week. So if I'm posting about Chick fil A, I am
Hmm.
probably there, but who's going to know, honestly? And if it's authentic to
Right.
you,
Oh
then
yeah.
I don't think that's like lying to your couples or anything because it's still your personality. So
Right. If they're like you pop up on their store and they're like,
I don't
"What? I don't
see.
see Caitlin here right now." Yeah, because I mean I typically For those who don't know, I typically post 24 to 48
Yeah.
hours later. So I save stories. I rarely record
Mm-hmm.
in the app. I'm always recording on my phone, and then I'll post the video later, because just
Yeah.
privacy reasons with the kids and all that. Especially like if I'm traveling, I don't want to post like headed to the airport and then someone be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, the house is empty and I know where he lives. Um, you know, it's probably nothing, but yeah, just to be on the safe side. So yeah, it's the same thing where at first I was like, is this, I feel like maybe I'm lying to the people because I will get that, whenever I go out of town, like an hour and a half down the road, and I'll like go to like the Magnolia
Mm-hmm.
Silos in Waco and then post those stories like a day or two later. And then someone's like, wait, you're in Waco right now? I'm in Waco. I was like, oh no, sorry, that was Friday. Uh, but
Yeah.
I'm just posting them now. So yeah, I love the delayed posting. And it also helps where I don't do it intentionally, but I'm going to start doing this intentionally, where I'm taking certain videos and photos
Mm-hmm.
to post later, because sometimes I'll just take a ton, and then I'm like, oh well, I don't want to post
Right.
all of these right now. I'll wait a couple
Mm-hmm.
days and post a
Especially
couple
if
more.
you know, like having like brand buckets, like certain like topics that like you always talk about in your brand, then if you know
Mm.
like
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
I love going to Starbucks, like I'm always at Target, like these certain things, you can start curating those folders and speak like your own like brand buckets, and it's very intentional, very
Yeah.
intentional. Yeah.
Yeah, because there are definitely some brand buckets that you
Yeah.
have way more
Mm-hmm.
content to talk about. And it's easy. And other brand buckets are like, this is important to my life and my brand, but it kind of feels like you're always
Mm-hmm.
talking about the same thing. So having that ability to scroll through in a folder on your phone, just be like, oh yeah, I'll post this and I can talk about this
Mm-hmm.
part of that brand bucket, which yeah, I think that's so good. And like I don't know, I'm like mentally taking all these notes, and I'm definitely going to start implementing this, because it is something where I'm like, oh, I haven't talked about this in a while, but the last like 3 times I talked about it, it was all
Mm-hmm.
pretty much the same thing. And I'm not in a place where I like my creativity is on high, where I can be like, ooh, well, I can talk
Yeah.
about this and I can talk about it in this way, or I can share this story or this behind the scenes thing. But having those videos and photos kind of like on the ready, to where whenever you do get to that point, it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
all right, now I've got something to talk about and I don't have to think
Exactly.
about it, which I love being able to not have to think about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's the
That's the
best.
whole point of it, just being able to like quickly access something and be like, oh yeah, here's me in
Hmm.
case you forgot that I exist. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like I talk to a lot of photographers that are just they're posting their content because they're like, I don't know what to talk about with me. I'll do a Friday introduction thing, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And so many times you get to like you're pulling up your phone, you're gonna post something, but you like hit that wall of I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what to do, and then you just
Yeah.
close the app and you
Exactly.
don't do anything. And then it's days and days without posting anything. And then you're just like, well, there's no
Mm-hmm.
use in posting anymore. And then it just kind of like snowballs from there, where it's like, well, it's just not worth it. It's not, I don't have anything good to say, or I'm not going to show my face and all of that. But yeah, having that first barrier already taken care of for you, where you have the content and something to say about it, that's going to open up so many opportunities to be able to finish the rest of it without having to exert so much energy on
Exactly.
the
I
front
have a
end.
free guide that kind of like breaks down
Yeah.
like this section a little bit further, and like
Yeah.
batching like your personal content for like, stories, and keeping that folder. And I think it's like number 4 or something. It's like mundane, like day-to-day tasks, like washing your dishes, laundry, like all this stuff. And I literally
Mm-hmm.
have like pictures on my phone of like me like carrying my laundry upstairs, and I can post it and be like, hey, like I just put in like a fresh load of laundry in my washing machine, but there's also a fresh blog post that you can go, and I'll like link it on there. So it's like a double whammy. So
Nice.
yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I love that. Okay, where can people get
Oh yeah.
the download
It
or
is
that freebie?
at Caitlin Wilcox Photography. So that's CAITLIN, wilcoxphotography.com/personal dash content dash freebie. Yeah. And I can,
Awesome. Sweet. And I'll
perfect.
add
I'll
that in
email
the
you the
show
link
notes as
too.
well. So
Yeah.
anyone, okay, perfect. Yeah. And
Make
then
myself a
anyone
note.
listening, you can just scroll on down and click. You don't have to worry about writing everything out. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Because yeah, that is um I love
Yeah.
the mundane of just
It
it's
is.
super
Yeah.
relatable too. Because everyone
Who
is
hasn't complained
washing
about dishes?
laundry. And it's just and
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, there's Caitlin with her laundry. I need to
Yeah.
do mine also. Oh, she's got a blog post. Okay,
Yes.
cool. I will go read
I
that
will
first
procrastinate my
and
laundry.
procrastinate.
Yeah. I was going to say, maybe if Devin's still
Yes.
watching, he can drop it in the comments too. But yeah.
Yeah, 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 that would be great. But yeah, okay, awesome, Caitlin. These have been very useful tips, very great things. Like I said earlier, I'm just like
Yeah.
taking mental notes of these things, and yeah, it's going to be very. I feel like this is like life changing type stuff, business changing things, even though like they are like
Yeah. They're
little
so
tools,
simple,
like
but they're big
little
impact.
tips. Yeah,
Yeah.
very simple things, but yeah, a huge impact, and they like
Mm-hmm.
compound on each other to where you start doing these things, and then this is going to become
Yeah.
second nature to where you're in the Chick-fil-A line and you're like, oh yeah, let me
Mm-hmm.
grab a couple clips real quick for content later on this week, or next
And you
month.
still come.
You can hold on to it for whenever you need it.
Yeah, so the more that we start implementing these things within our social medias and our businesses, the more comfortable we'll become with it.
Yes.
So the more that we're showing up on our stories, the more it will become second nature, the more it won't feel so scary.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It always anything new, anything that you're implementing that's it's changing, it's going to be coming out of your comfort zone. It's going to feel a little bit scary, a little
Yeah.
bit different, a little bit, like this isn't my comfortable everything that I normally do. But like the biggest changes come whenever you're not comfortable. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then once that change happens, it like you said, it's going to become second nature. It's gonna be easier and easier to do as you go on. So
Absolutely. And a little
awesome.
bonus, just give yourself grace. If you miss a day or several days, it's not the end of the world. Your business
Yes.
isn't going to fall apart. I'm not perfect with this. There's still days that I don't show up on Instagram, and the world keeps moving. My business keeps running. So allow yourself to be human.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's really great. A great piece of advice too is allow yourself to be human, and because we get that sometimes where we're like, "Ah, I missed a day. Well, I'm just gonna stop now
Yeah.
because I have failed and I am a failure." And instead, it's like, oh well, I missed a day. All right, that's cool. I can start back up
Yeah.
because I know like going on different diets and stuff or like working out at the gym, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to work out 5 days a week, and then I get to the third day and then something happens or schedules change. I'm like, oh, I can't go this day. And then the next day I'm like, well, I'm just not going to go because I missed a
Mm-hmm.
day. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, just keep
What's the
going.
point?
Yeah, what's the point? And there is a point. So yeah, if you miss one, keep on going. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think that's great. Okay, before we kind of wrap things up, let people know where they can find you and all those things. There's a part of the show that I like to do where we talk about what we're loving this week, and it
Yeah.
can literally be anything. Mine's usually like TV shows, movies, and books and stuff that I'm like, uh, taking in. But yeah, it could be like a new food or anything. What are you loving this week?
So Devin and I, we've been loving tennis recently. I played in high school, and I let one of my theater friends in college borrow like my entire tennis bag. Never got it back. So we recently like rebought like all of our rackets and balls and everything. And yeah, we've been loving going to the courts, and I get to wear cute tennis skirts. So
Nice.
two things:
Nice.
tennis and
Yeah.
tennis outfits.
Yeah, that's cool. That's fun. I have tried tennis a few times and can never quite get like the wrist action
Oh
right.
yeah.
I'm either like right into the net or into the next street. Um,
That's okay.
but yeah, it's still fun though. I love just getting out there and just hitting around. I need to try what is the new thing? Pickleball
Pickleball,
that
yeah,
everyone is talking about. I've heard that it's somewhat similar to like kind of racquetball and
yeah,
tennis kind of melded together. Uh, but yeah, okay, awesome. Tennis. This is great for your ankles too to build those up for for wedding days. But yeah, awesome. Tennis. Let's see. What am I loving? I recently saw Interstellar, the movie from like I
ooh,
don't know 2018 or something, with Matthew McConaughey, and it was really good. I thought it was going to be more in space because it seemed like it was like a space movie, but I saw it on a. I actually watched it over two flights because I only got half of it done, and then on my way back home, I was able to watch the second half on the
yeah,
movie or on the flight. And yeah, it's an interesting concept. The score to the movie is amazing. There's that one song that is all over reels and TikTok and all of that. So anyone who hasn't seen it, whenever you watch the movie, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know this song.
yeah. I'm
But
gonna have to go
yeah,
watch it now.
it's good. I really liked it. It's an interesting concept. There were a few people. I'm not going to spoil anything because I only knew that it was uh, Matthew McConaughey, and that was all that I had heard about who was like in the movie. And then watching the movie, I was like, oh wait, they're in this. Oh, this is almost toward the end, and now I'm getting introduced to this like A-lister actor. So it was interesting. It was fun, and it was a great airplane movie too. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good one. But yeah, okay. So Caitlin, where can people find you? Where can they follow you on socials? All the places.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Caitlin Wilcox Photography. That's Caitlin. I have to spell my name because there's like 20 billion spellings of
I know there's
Caitlin.
so many
It's
different
ridiculous.
Caitlins. Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I am most social, and you'll find like all of my links there in my bio.
Awesome. Well, sweet. Yeah, I'll have that in the show notes as well. So everyone, y'all can go follow Caitlin and just tell her, be like, hey, I am implementing these tools today, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna change your
Ooh,
business.
oh, please
But
do.
yeah,
I want to cheer you on.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Caitlin, this has been great. So thank you so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed this, and I'm definitely like I myself am going to be implementing these tools as well.
I'm so glad. Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of
Absolutely.
fun.
Yeah.